Northerners believed they were putting down a treasonous rebellion launched in open defiance of the United States Constitution. Neither side chose to discuss slavery much. "My paramount object in this struggle," Lincoln explained to Greeley that summer, "is to save the Union and is not either to save or to destroy slavery." That moral dimension of the conflict was as yet absent. The tumbling chaos of events kept redefining the war into unanticipated hopes and durations. All the players felt swept along by forces beyond anyone's control or vision toward an ever-receding conclusion. Raphael Semmes' two oldest sons, Spencer and Oliver, were fighting somewhere in the Confederate Army. They were perhaps still alive. For a year, Semmes had heard nothing about them. "But whatever may betide them or me, my dear wife," he wrote Anne, "you must keep ever present to your mind that we are engaged in a holy cause, fighting for all that is dear to man." The daily barrage of war news proclaimed battles lost and won, hope and despair, deaths dealt and borne. The recent downturn in Confederate fortunes hardly mattered to Semmes. "Every day of the war serves but to strengthen my conviction," he assured Anne. "The war may last years, we may be prostrated, exhausted, but never conquered." And in case Anne was faltering in his absence, "And the glorious women of the South are as hopeful and enthusiastic as the men." Finally, after 4 weeks of waiting, Semmes took passage on a steamship to Liverpool. Arriving on August 5th, he was told to embark yet again for a secret rendezvous somewhere at sea with his new command. Just before leaving England, he wrote a discreet letter to his older daughter Electra, veiling his words in case the enemy intercepted it. "I am sorry, my darling daughter, that I cannot inform you of my movements. I have something in hand," he allowed, "of which you will probably hear in due time, but for the present you must curb your curiosity." The new ship emerged from a delicate, shadowy fandango among Confederate agents, Union spies, waterfront characters, and assorted diplomats, politicians, lawyers, and shipbuilders. The central figures were two resourceful, adroit Americans in Liverpool, each devoted to his cause and intent on deceiving and frustrating the other. James D. Bullock of Georgia pursued the Confederate Navy's interests in Britain. A former lieutenant in the United States Navy, he was living in New York when the war came, working for a steamship line that ran vessels down to New Orleans. "My personal interests were wholly, and my personal friendships were chiefly in the North," he later wrote, but his deeper ancestral sympathies and convictions took him south. He was sent to England to acquire ships and naval supplies for the Confederacy. 39 years old in 1862, still a sailor at heart, he longed to leave his landlocked duties and, striking more directly, take command of a fine warship at sea. Many years later, his nephew Theodore Roosevelt fondly compared Uncle Jimmy to a chivalrous gentleman in a Thackeray novel. "The nearest approach to Colonel Newcomb of any man I ever met in actual life," said T.R., "that most beautiful of all characters in fiction." Bullock's nemesis, Thomas H. Dudley of New Jersey, was the U.S. consul in Liverpool. Of Quaker heritage, ardently anti-slavery and pro-Union, he felt surrounded by enemies in Liverpool, the center of Confederate activities in England. Stalking through the dark labyrinths of docks and dripping fogs along the River Mersey, Dudley, quite reasonably, suspected foul plots and conspirators against the Union. Provided with a small budget of $2,000 a year for espionage, to penetrate these mysteries he paid detectives, spies, stray sailors and shipyard workers, self-proclaimed insiders found in dives and bars. "Not as a general thing very estimable men," he admitted to his boss, Secretary of State William H. Seward, "but they are the only persons we can get to engage in this business, which I am sure you will agree with me is not a very pleasant one." It was murky, uncertain, exasperating work. Dudley could never compel anyone's testimony, and the best-informed men were also the least willing to provide evidence. Nonetheless, he dispatched a stream of alarmed, mostly accurate reports on local Confederate movements to Seward and to Charles Francis Adams.